ज्यादा यूज नहीं कर रहा है।
श्री चैतन्य स्वयं रूप ददाति स्वतः वंदे श्री गुरु श्रीयुतापदकं श्री गुरून् श्री गुरून् सागर जाता सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साधवैतं सवधूतं परिजना सहितं श्री राधा कृष्ण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी आश्यातदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदाय कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरविषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश श्री राधा कांचन तप्तकांचन गौरांगी श्रीराधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि नीलाचलनिवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्य जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। कृपा सिंधु पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्त हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे राम 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 हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरो दीननाथं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरं। हरे कृष्ण। Today we are going to discuss on अग्नेनया सुप्तरये नान्ये अस्मान् विश्वानि देव वायुनानि विद्वान् योऽधि यस्मात् जुहुरानमेन भूयिष्ठः तेन मुक्तिं विद्येत O my Lord, as powerful as fire, O omnipotent one, now I offer you all obeisances, falling on the ground at your feet. O my Lord, please lead me on the right path to reach you. And since you know all that I have done in the past, please free me from the reactions of my past sins, so that there will be no hindrance to my progress.
By surrendering to the Lord and praying for His causeless mercy, the devotee can progress on the path of complete self realization. The Lord is addressed as fire because He can burn anything to ashes, including the sins of the surrendered soul. As described in the previous mantras, the real or ultimate aspect of the Absolute is His feature as the personality of Godhead. And this impersonal Brahmajyoti feature is a dazzling covering over his face. Fruitive activities or karmakanda path of self realization is the lowest stage in this endeavor. As soon as such activities even slightly deviate from the regulative principles of the Vedas, they are transformed into vikarma or acts against the interest of the actor. Such vikarma is enacted by the illusioned living entity simply for sense gratification. And thus, such activities become hindrances on the path of self realization. Self realization is possible in the human form of life, but not in other forms. There are 84 lakh, 8.4 million species of forms of life, of which the human form, qualified by Brahmanical culture, presents the only chance to obtain the knowledge of transcendence. Brahmanical culture includes truthfulness, self control, forbearance, simplicity, full knowledge, and full faith in God. It is not that one simply becomes proud of his high parentage. Just as being born the son of a big man affords one a chance to become a big man, so being born as a son of a Brahmana gives one a chance to become a Brahmana. But such a birthright is not everything, for one still has to attain the Brahmanical qualifications for himself. As soon as one becomes proud of his birth as the son of a Brahmana and neglects to acquire the qualifications of the real Brahmana, he at once becomes degraded and falls from the path of self realization. Thus, his life's mission as a human being is defeated. In the Bhagavad Gita 6:41-42, we are assured by the Lord that the Yoga Bhrashtas, or the souls fallen from the path of self realization, are given a chance to rectify themselves by taking birth either in the families of good Brahmanas or in the families of rich merchants. Such births afford higher chances of self realization. If these chances are misused owing to illusion, one loses the good opportunity of the human life afforded by the Almighty Lord. The regulative principles are such that one who follows them is promoted to the platform of fruitive activities, from the platform of fruitive activities to the platform of transcendental knowledge. After many, many lifetimes of cultivating transcendental knowledge, one becomes perfect when he surrenders unto the Lord. This is the general procedure, but one who surrenders at the very beginning, as recommended in this mantra, at once surpasses all the preliminary stages simply by adopting the devotional attitude. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 18.66, the Lord at once takes charge of such a surrendered soul and frees him from all reactions to his sinful acts. There are many sinful reactions involved in the karma kanda activities, whereas in jnana kanda, the path of philosophical development, the number of sinful activities is smaller. But in the devotional service to the Lord, the path of bhakti, there is practically no chance of incurring sinful reactions. One who is a devotee of the Lord attains all the good qualifications of the Lord. What to speak of those of a Brahmana? A devotee automatically attains the qualifications of an expert Brahmana authorized to perform sacrifices. Even though the devotee may not have taken birth in a Brahman family, such is the omnipotence of the Lord. He can make a man born in a Brahman family as degraded as a low born dog eater. And he can make a low born dog eater superior to a qualified Brahmana simply on the strength of devotional service. Since the omnipotent Lord is situated within the heart of everyone, he can give directions to his sincere devotees by which they can attain the right path. Such directions are especially offered to the devotee, even if he desires something else. As far as others are concerned, God gives sanction to the doer only at the risk of the doer. But in case of the devotee, the Lord directs him in such a way that he never acts wrongly. The Srimad Bhagavatam 11:5-42 says, Swapadamulam bhajata priyasya त्वक्तान्यभवास्य हरिपरेश विकर्मयक्षोपतितं कथाञ्चे धुनोति सर्वं हृदि सन्निविष्ट स्वपादमूलं bhajata priyasya. So one who is worshipping the Lord is free of the Lord is very kind to such a devotee. Even though the devotee falls, Tvaktaanyabhavasya hari paresha vikarma yachopatitam. So if he falls into the entanglement of vikarma acts against the Vedic directions, the Lord at once dhunoti sarvam hridi sannivishta. The Lord at once rectifies such mistakes from within his heart. This is because the devotees are very dear to the Lord. In this mantra of the Isopanishad, the devotee prays to the Lord to rectify him from within his heart. To err is human. Conditioned soul is often apt to commit mistakes, and the only remedial measure to take against such unintentional sins is to give oneself up to the lotus feet of the Lord, so that He may guide one to avoid such pitfalls. The Lord takes charge of the fully surrendered souls. Thus, all problems are solved simply by surrendering oneself unto the Lord and acting in terms of His directions. Such directions are given to the sincere devotee in ways. One is by way of the saints, scriptures, and spiritual master, and the other is by way of the Lord Himself, who resides within the heart of everyone. Thus, the devotee, fully enlightened with Vedic knowledge, is protected in all respects. Vedic knowledge is transcendental, and cannot be understood by mundane educational procedures. One can understand the Vedic mantras only by the grace of the Lord and the spiritual master. Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha guru. Hearing chanting the glories of the Lord is itself an act of piety. The Lord wants everyone to hear and chant His glories because He is the well-wisher of the living entities. By hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, one becomes cleansed of all the undesirable things. And then one's devotion becomes fixed unto the Lord. At this stage, the devotee acquires the Brahmanical qualifications and the effects of the lower modes of passion and ignorance, lower modes of nature completely vanish. Tada rajastamo bhava kamalobhata cheta eta sattvam prasidate shuddha sattvam. The devotee becomes fully enlightened by virtue of his devotional service, and thus he comes to know the path of the Lord and the way to attain him. As all doubts diminish, he becomes a pure devotee. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purpose to Sri Isopanishad, the knowledge that brings one nearer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. The Acharyas explain the sinful proclivities the living entity has. These sinful proclivities are the very anchor which are stopping the boat of one's consciousness to flow towards the Lord. It's like the story of the marriage party in the boat. The whole night, the boatman was rowing, but since they were not, but the morning came, they were at the same place, no moving any further. And then somebody noticed that the anchor was still on. So the sinful proclivities are like that. The point is that the living entity is extremely vulnerable to get illusioned because we are infinitely small. At any moment, we are prone to get illusioned. We can get illusioned at any moment. At any given moment, one can get illusion. That is the nature because the living entity is very, very small. Therefore, the only way to go on and advance in the spiritual life is to depend on the Supreme Lord. And for here, the Shri Isopanishad 18, we are seeing that it is being depicted that how this devotee is very prayerful to the Lord, is surrendering to the Lord, and this devotee is saying, "Oh Lord, you please guide me in the path to you. And yes, I have committed so many sinful activities, O Lord. Please forgive me. Please relieve me of my sins. Let not these sins become a blockage to my progress in Krishna consciousness." We will see the nature of this world is that actually nothing is in our hands. When we go out to preach, people may have different, when we go out to preach, people may have different, people come and ask different questions, they have different thoughts, they have different problems. And sometimes we may speak something from the scriptures and people may feel very offended and say, "Oh," and they may never turn back. And sometimes we may speak something from the scriptures and people feeling very inspired and they say, "Oh, what to say of coming regularly? I commit, I'm here only, I'm fully dedicated now." So now, what is now? Both may be quotes from the Shastras, but one thing incites a negative reaction, another thing incites a positive reaction. Now, what reaction will be incited? We never know when we are speaking. We can only try to evaluate things with our own intelligence power, but sometimes those things do not work as we are expecting it to be. So, the philosophy of Krishna consciousness is infinite. What to speak at what time to incite or to trigger a positive reaction. So, by no algorithm, we can decide that. By no algorithm, we can decide that. So, what can ensure that what we are speaking is going to be favorable to the person is only one thing, that is prayerful attitude. Krishna can inspire the right philosophy at the right time, the right vision at the right time. I have this experience that here in KGP itself, one batch, one class I presented, everybody is clapping and they are very much mesmerized and this and that. Next year, same similar batch, again I speak same class, nobody is moved. There's no much punch. No much punch. How can the same class move people one batch and no punch in the next batch? How is it possible? It is basically, it is not techniques which work, but it is actually the proclivity of Sharanagati, in which by which Krishna can infuse the right thing which works for the people. Like Bhakti Ashraya Vaishnava Maharaj says that okay, there are different kinds of transmission. One is a head-to-head transmission. So intellectually, such a devotee, he knows the verses, he's memorized and all that, he's looking and he's quoting and he's making his point. So it's an intellectual transmission. By that, people may get impressed, but they will not get transformed. But then the other is a heart-to-heart transmission, where the devotee is himself taking shelter of Krishna, and with full dependence on Krishna, the devotee is sharing immediate transformation. See, sometimes you may see intellectual classes, say for example, intellectualism cannot transform people. Intellectualism can impress people, but not transform. So somebody says, okay, in one class today I'm going to quote 100 shlokas. People may be impressed. Wow, what a shlokacharya. But they will not be inspired to, the inspiration is still, will be still missing to chant the holy names of the Lord. Whereas we see in the life of Srila Prabhupada would always speak from his heart. So Srila Prabhupada would speak from his heart at any given point of time, always taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. And the Falashruti was that the people were moved and touched to transform. Their lives got transformed. They were no, they got moved and touched to dedicate their lives. That is the point. So we are helpless. Where are things in our hands? And so when we are preaching and somebody is hearing to what we are saying and somebody is moving forward, you should be really grateful. Okay, this person is accepting by Krishna's mercy to the Supreme Lord. But okay, the Krishna is allowing him to take it up and understand, and he's taking it up. That is Krishna's mercy. Just so that we can continue the service, continue serving him. Similarly, in our own life, whenever problems come, what remembrance will come in our mind? Is it in our control? That is the point. We may have memorized a lot of slokas. Which sloka will come forward when there is a tough time? That is not in our hands. We may have memorized a lot of slokas, but at that time the shloka will not come. What comes in the remembrance is again Krishna's mercy. That's why the Lord says, or the Bhagavad the Gita is telling that the Bhagavad Gita says that for a devotee of lifelong practice Krishna consciousness, even if such a devotee at the end of his life is not able to remember Krishna, Krishna will manifest in this devotee's heart and consciousness. Krishna will inject that remembrance. Krishna is saying, don't worry, I take my devotees back. But one can only go back if one remembers Krishna. So Krishna personally comes forward and makes. So we are completely helpless. Sometimes in chanting time, one may have read 3 hours Bhagavatam the previous day, but still sometimes in the chanting time, the sensual thoughts coming, what to say, or waste thoughts, or negative thoughts, or dangerous thoughts are coming. What to do? It's not in our hands, but it's in Krishna's hands. That is the hope. Therefore, Sharanagati. That is why a devotee desperately, helplessly, tirelessly takes shelter of Krishna. That Krishna, you please purify me. You please pick me up. Place me as one of the Adams at your lotus feet. Ay Nandatanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavambuja. Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Stitadhuli Sadrisham Vichintaya. Prayerful attitude. Because we can see we are completely helpless. Srila Prabhupada is explaining in the purport then on the lanes of Karmakanda. These lanes are so stringent, little bit of deviation and the karma becomes vikarma. We have examples when Nriga became a lizard, that Huhu became a crocodile. Maharaj Nriga was donating one cow, he donated to one Brahmana, but it went into the group of other Brahmana. And none of the Brahmanas were ready to leave that one cow. Because of that offense, he became a lizard. And he was pleading to both the Brahmanas that I'll give you million cows in return. Please forget about this one cow. Nobody was ready. So he got the offense. Amishare, he was donating cow, he was not doing anything nonsense. He became a lizard. Lizard very not very clean creature. Lizard is not very clean creature, a dirty creature. Means because it prefers to live in dirty places and all that. Uh, and so Niga became a lizard. Small deviation, the karma becomes vikarma. So it's a very risky affair than karma kanda. Very risky affair. Small deviation, little bit here to there is finished. So karma kanda very risky. Now Srila Prabhupada explained to her is human. That one may perform some mistakes, but karma kanda lane there is zero tolerance lane actually. Little bit here to there finish, such a heavy reaction is coming. Then Prabhupada explained that in jnana, the possibility of error is a little less. And bhakti, there is no possibility of any sin. So that means, practically speaking, on the lane of karma kanda, practically speaking, a person is at best not moving forward because he's doing good karma, and that gives him the fuel to move forward. But he is deviating a little bit here and there, and that increases the karma quotient. So ultimately, both will cancel and he's not going anywhere. On the lanes of jnana, there is some forward motion. What kind of forward motion? Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate. After many, many lifetimes, one will come to the point of surrendering to Krishna. At least some forward motion is there. In a few lifetimes, it will manifest. The titration point comes in a few lifetimes. Karma kanda titration never comes because the action is reversible. Little bit, it is so much of reversibility that practically a person is not gaining anything. But uh, but uh, but more often or so, person is degrading because the negative quotient overpowers. Like if there is an examination paper and there is negative marking in it, and the person doesn't have any knowledge, the person is just answering whatever he or she feels like. Most likely, the person will get 0 marks. But many people will get negative marks. It won't always be zero. The best case is zero, or tending to zero is the best case. Most likely, it will be negative marks. So this is the problem with karma kanda. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada said, don't mess up with sense gratification. Give it up. Don't mess it up. No Vedas are giving allowances for sense gratification. Prabhupada says there are accidents even on royal roads. Don't rely on that because it is so risky. When one gives it up, what happens? Immediately there is speed. So therefore, in Sharnagati, as soon as one takes Sharnagati of the Lord, ready to accept what the Lord says, immediately one can see speed. Mam cha yo vicharena bhakti yogena sevate sa gunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Mam cha yo abhyavicharena. So immediately one who gives up abhyachar and takes shelter of the Supreme Lord, continuing to follow the instructions of the Supreme Lord under any circumstances. Bhakti yogena sevate. Sa gunan samatityaitan. Immediately such a person transcends the modes of material nature and gets situated on the platform of Brahman, liberation. That means such a person has liberated. There are no chains binding him back, holding him back. By calculations, we don't have any chance. We have to understand that. By merit, we don't have any chance. There is only one quota where we can get a seat. That is mercy quota. That's what when Srila Prabhupada was telling devotees. About the qualification to go back to God, the devotee is very morose. Even at 64 rounds, the dialogue, Prabhupada said 64 rounds every day. Devotee is very morose. How will they chant? And he came down to 32 and all that. Finally, he said 16 rounds, and I will take care of the rest. And another time, Srila Prabhupada said, oh, he saw all devotees are very morose. He said, no problem. Chant 16 rounds, follow the regulatory principles, attend the morning program, be in association of devotees. I will take you in from the back door. I have the back door key. I'll get you in. See, this is the hope. The mercy quota is the only quota by which we can go. And the mercy is attracted by struggle. Therefore, the devotee doesn't give up his practices. That is said. A devotee should continue to uphold the Krishna conscious practices with the hope against hope that yes, Krishna will come soon. Like Shabri had that hope against hope. Every single day, she would collect the berries. She would select the very sweet berries and she would keep it every single day. She would collect flowers, make malas, and keep it every single day, decade after decade after decade after decade. But sure enough, one day Lord Ramachandra did come. That is the point. But in bhakti, the mercy comes faster. Mercy will take lifetimes to come if one clings on to the jnana process. It's a long wounded loop, but the mercy will come fast if one takes to bhakti. Here, Krishna is compared to the fire or the sun. Why? Because the Lord can burn to ashes all the sins. So that's what the Lord is describing that you just take shelter of me. Sarva dharman parityache mamekam sharanam raja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami ma shucha. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada is recommending that this process of hearing and chanting, if we commit to this process, that's why when we are hearing and chanting, we should the mindset should be that yes, by this if I absorb myself and I fully take shelter of this process of hearing and chanting, Krishna is entering my existence through that, and Krishna is entering, the heart will definitely be purified. So the hearing and chanting, and here in that 11th canto verse, Srila Prabhupada is describing, and now in the 11th canto verse it describes what is that? Tat pada pankaja bhajati, something like that. And the Lord is telling Shamalam, Anadhunoti Shamalam. Yeah. That the Lord, out of His mercy, the Lord cleanses. The Lord is interested in cleaning our heart. But the cleansing process is ignited and triggered only by Sharanagati. See, how is this process of Sharanagati manifested? The process of Sharanagati is manifested. This sadhaka, this devotee, doesn't rely on anything else other than hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. Well, the sticking on, clinging on to hearing and chanting is the clinging on to this process of hearing and chanting is the very process of Sharanagati. I mean, so again, in practical terms, how is Sharanagati manifested? What do you mean that? Once in a day I have to offer this prayer, but I'm already offering the Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram once in a day. Is it enough? No, the clinging on to the process of hearing and chanting, the devotee should understand, unless I hear attentively, unless in that way I invite Krishna, unless I pray and beg to Krishna, I will not be given the right Vivek Shakti to take the right decisions at the right time. So we should not look for answers in the depths of our corrupt intelligence. We should not look for answers in this material world which is filled with infections. One should look for answers in these activities of devotional service because that is the only way by which we connect to Krishna and Krishna can give the answers. So we will see that no material, no any algorithms work in this world. And when this happens, then people start looking out for different avenues. What do we look for is what we will get. If we look for the material world, we'll get more contamination. Lesser control, more contamination, things out of order. We look for Krishna, more heart is purified. We get the complete knowledge. That is the mood behind hearing and chanting. Satguru Maharaj explains, about chanting. But chanting is a prayer. We're taking shelter of the holy name. We're calling out for Krishna, that Krishna, my life, my heart, there is complete darkness. I don't know what to do. I'm just taking shelter of you, Krishna. You manifest in my ways. You please guide me the path. Similarly, the reading of Bhagavatam is also a prayer which we are offering to the Supreme Lord. That, oh Lord, you please guide me. Many times some devotees feel that okay, the services what we do are simply demonstrations of our caliber. You see what caliber I have. I have made 100 crore temple. See the caliber. See my prowess. Oh, that is absolute failure. 100 crore temple is built, but for that devotee who thinks like this, absolute failure. Because such a mentality will never attract mercy of the Lord. But one will become proud. See, Srila Prabhupada, I remember one lecture Prabhupada is telling. This London temple Prabhupada is telling. See, this all of you, this temple in the Bury Street. Prabhupada is saying, each one of you, any one of you, in your whole life, you could not have earned that much money to buy this property. We surrender to Krishna, Krishna gives everything. We stand on our own feet and no, the Krishna, nothing one gets. So our services are not demonstrations of our caliber, but our services are offer also prayers. While struggling to serve to please Krishna, we are not in that way. Also, we are crying for Krishna's mercy. That, oh Lord, I'm doing this for you. You please show me the way. So service is a prayer. By that way, we are taking shelter of Krishna. That Krishna, I am ready to. Basically, the consciousness of service that okay, Krishna, for your pleasure, I'm ready to dance like a monkey, moving my hands here and there. Enough, you are pleased like that. So therefore, a devotee who has a prayerful, grateful heart can be a sustainably prayerful heart. And such a devotee who has a prayerful heart, such a devotee seeks Krishna in every situation and every activity. So then only such a devotee is in communion with the Lord, no other person. So through words, through deeds, all what bhakti is about is prayers. Is simply depending on Krishna. And whatever grace Krishna showers upon us, we share it with others. Hare Krishna. So this completes the discussion of Shri Isopanishad.
Hare Krishna, please, understand.
Yes, Prabhu.
So if you wanted to understand, like, the explanation is you gave here, like, the example of Draupadi is matlab, aptly suggests that we completely depend on Krishna during our endeavors. Like, even if Draupadi was trying to protect herself, they completely depend on Krishna, and then Lord protected him. Like, is this the right type of example to understand this particular thing?
What I didn't understand. What property?
Not Draupadi, Mother Draupadi.
Huh?
Mother Draupadi, she depended completely on Krishna.
Yes.
So then Krishna protected, and that's what we
Yes.
are trying. That Mother, that is a good example here. Is it?
Yeah, but dependence on Krishna is not inactivity. Our endeavors to please Krishna are a prayer to Krishna. The endeavors do not ensure the result, but the endeavor is a petition to Krishna. So, therefore, Prabhupada explains in third chapter Bhagavad Gita purports that when it comes to service to Krishna, devotee is always daring and active, but devotee doesn't leave any stone unturned. That itself, that too may not guarantee the result. So while being detached from result, a devotee, when it comes to endeavoring for Krishna and it comes to serving Krishna, is always daring and active. So the dependence is not an activity, but dependence is a state of very intense activity. But that activity is a cry. So more we endeavor, more we are crying for Krishna. That is the whole point.
Oh, like the sparrow example where the sparrow is taking some water out from the ocean.
Yeah, so the sparrow example is given, but the sparrow, see, in Krishna consciousness, we may be a sparrow, a person may keep on endeavoring for eternity and may not be able to produce the result also. But that person will go back to Godhead. Abhimanyu endeavored and died, but he went back to Godhead. So the success is in terms of Krishna's mercy, which may not manifest, may or may not manifest in terms of results, like that. External results, what are seen in this material world. But nevertheless, a devotee doesn't stop trying.
And like there is no Jatayu's example that means that he endeavored to protect Mother Sita and he died on the.
Yes, yes. So Jatayu died, Abhimanyu died. That is the point. So that is why no external metrics cannot. That doesn't mean if one endeavors and one is successful, materially successful, then one is going very good in Krishna consciousness. It is not, it doesn't mean, it is no correlation. Krishna out of mercy is given success. That doesn't mean that devotee was brought success while endeavoring is more advanced. Not at all. Not at all. Krishna is manifesting, that is Krishna's mercy. That is why devotee should be always grateful. And that's okay. Krishna is encouraging. No, now Krishna has given this to me. I have to be very careful and use this properly. When Vasudev the leper was cured by Lord Chaitanya, the Vasudev the leper was very much afraid. He was not wanting that because he was very much afraid that, oh, this opulent body has come now. People are going to glorify, I'll become proud, I'll become name, fame will come and all that. How will I be able to take shelter of Krishna? So he was praying to Lord Chaitanya, give me back my old body with worms and everything, pus and worms and all that. Lord Chaitanya said, don't worry, I will, your consciousness, you're taking shelter of me, I will ensure your consciousness will not get bewildered by it. So this is a devotee's. So when a devotee gets success, not that a devotee thinks, I have achieved. When a devotee can be in a right attitude as Vasudev leper, he got success, he is fearful. Oh my God, this success, how will I be able to be Krishna conscious? So that is the point. So success or failure, a devotee always increases his endeavors to please Krishna and serve Krishna. If success comes, devotee understands, oh, Krishna has given this to me, I should, no, I'm afraid of it. So now let me increase my service attitude. And because otherwise this may act as a poison. Failure comes, a devotee understands that, okay, I have not been able to serve Krishna properly. Let me increase my endeavors. Both cases, a sincere devotee increases his endeavors, whether success or failure, like that. And insincerity, both cases will become dhila. The failure is what is the use of serving? No? Better I can take prasad and take rest. What is the use of? Anyway, this place you go, no books get distributed. What are the use? Calcutta streets. What is the use? So okay, let us take prasad and take rest. So that's insincerity, like that. So that is the point. Okay. Haribol. Shri Isopanishad ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so next week we will start with Nectar of Devotion. Wednesday.